So good evening, and welcome to the Gerry Masterson Centre at the 2022 Municipal Election Ward 2 Forum. I'm Jill Raycroft, CEO of the Belleville Chamber of Commerce and a fellow Thermal resident, so I've always felt it's important that we try to bring access to the candidates to you here, in spite of that we do a big event at the Empire Theatre as well. We have received some of your questions in writing, so thank you very much for that. I will say that we do modify them a little bit in terms of context and maybe issues. So if we don't use the exact wording, please just pay attention to the answers, because hopefully that will be the answer you're looking for. And we appreciate that there are some unique problems that may not fit with the general nature of this event, but it's meant to give people an idea of what box to check, whether the candidates' perspectives on major issues align with your personal hopes for the community. So if a candidate doesn't have a chance to answer the question you would like to know more about, please feel free to ask them afterwards. I would also like to thank all the candidates for coming. Election season is busy, and it seems every interest group and organization wants to know where you stand on their issues. Hosting the debate and candidate forums are a responsibility chambers across the country have taken very seriously for over 100 years. We are recording this event, thanks to Bill Glisty over here, and it will be posted on the YouTube channel. We'll have that out there in a couple of days. Just watch for links. Follow us on Facebook, Belleville Chamber of Commerce. I usually also I'll post it to the Belleville Neighbours North group as well. Anyway, now I'm going to pass it over to Anthony Callahan, who is going to be the moderator for our Councillor Candidate Forum, and he'll offer further explanation on the rules of the forum this evening.
So welcome everybody. As Joe mentioned, I'm Anthony Callahan, Chair of the Board of Directors for 2022 Chamber of Commerce, and I work for McDougall Insurance during the day. So we have a great turnout here tonight. We had our Ward 1 debate last night. I'm sure a lot of people read about in the paper this morning. Back tonight for round 2, for Ward 2. So a little more intimate here, which is great. There's going to be 3 parts to the evening. We're going to do the Ward 2 Councillor candidates, followed by the Mayoral Candidates, followed by the School Board Trustees. So let's get this started. So we're happy to have our 4 Ward 2 candidates with us this evening, who drew their order on stage at an event last week. The order will be Catherine Brown, Michael Clark, Bill Sanderson, and then Paul Carr. So the rules and the format of the Councillor Forum. Sorry. Yeah, okay, if the 4 of them can come up now, that would be great. Catherine Brown, Michael Clark, Bill Sanderson, and Paul Carr. So the rules, the candidates, once candidates are up here, one by one, they'll provide a 1-minute introduction, and then following, they'll have one random question to answer, and then we'll have a minute for each. And then, after that, they will get 2 minutes in closing, so a total of 4 minutes altogether. Okay, so the debate timekeeper is seated in the front row, at least the girls here, and she will display a yellow card letting the candidate know they have 15 seconds left, and then switch to a red card indicating when their time is up. Again, feel free to applaud at that time. We will ask the audience to refrain from comments. There will be no questions from the floor, though if you've submitted a question at the door, we hope we'll address your concerns. Candidates are here, and please discuss any specific questions you would like addressed following the formal agenda this evening. Great, so we'll start tonight off with Catherine Brown. Catherine, we'll give you 1 minute to give an introduction, and then I will draw a random question, which you will have a minute for as well. So get started whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Catherine Brown, and the reason I'm running is simply because I'm committed to our community. My husband and I moved here to Point Anne, which is in the very southern part of Thurlow Ward, back in 2009. We have 3 sons, 2 of whom are in the military, and 1 who actually lives and works here in Belleville. Many of you would know some of my work from the city committees that I've worked on. Planning advisory for the last 4 years, economic development, the chair of the Downtown District BIA, and you may have also recognized the voice quite simply, because I've been a regular on Lauren Brooker's Monday morning roundtable with Ross McDougall over the past 4 years. I'm 38 years in a financial institution, and I have a business in downtown Belleville. Today I'm asking for your support. Because I live in a rural area, but I have a business in the urban area, I believe that I am well positioned to be able to look at both.
Thank you very much. That's great. Catherine, before you go, we're going to have one question for you as well. Sorry about that. Then you can sit back down and we'll call you up at the end for So, random questions are right here. We'll draw the first one for Catherine. Catherine, you will have 1 minute. Our question is, what projects will you advocate for development investment in Thurlow?
So I would say the first one in terms of modernizing spaces is the trail outdoor recreation. And my observation is it typically seems to stop at the 401 and doesn't find its way up into the community. So I would like to see us finding ways, now that the province is actually investing some money in widening the 401 and changing the bridges, to find a way of extending that up to us here. The other issue I'd like to talk to very quickly is representation. We have a very different dynamic going on in this ward, be it rural or the urban areas. There are different needs, we're hearing different things when we're door knocking, and I think that we need to think about a rural voice being at the table to represent what is largely the biggest geographic section of the city of Belleville.
Great, thanks very much, Catherine. I will now call up Michael Clark. So Michael, just like Catherine, you will have a 1 minute to give your intro spiel, and then I will be followed by a 1 minute question. So Mike, whenever you're ready, go right ahead.
My dad said just so Michael was straight. A little bit taller. Good evening. So a little bit about me. I'll be 41 this month, actually on election day. Not looking forward to getting old. I'm the father of 4 beautiful and amazing daughters. They've given me, plenty of memories over the years, and definitely this hairstyle. 4 daughters, yeah, it's a little stressful. I've had a small business in Thurlow for just over 5 years. I build rustic furniture, mostly bed frames and so on and so forth. I'm thankful for the customers I've had all over Ontario, but especially in Thurlow, Belleville area, this local area. What else? That's pretty much about it. Sorry, I didn't really take up the time, but I didn't want to write anything too long because you tend to get cut off. So.
That's okay. Thanks, Mike. Well, I will give you the one question then now. You'll have 1 minute to answer. I'll pick a random question here. So the question for Michael. How do you address the housing crisis?
Well, the definite thing about that is since COVID, obviously the housing market has gotten ridiculous. Anything from, the cost of living to the cost of buying a house, renting a house, anything like that. So the more affordable housing that we can make to be able to have people afford that, that'd be the best way to do it. Obviously, if I'm elected with current council, then obviously we all have to work together to try to go ahead and make that possible. So we have less homelessness and more people in a house.
Great, thanks very much, Michael. We'll hear from you again shortly. I will now call up Mr. Bill Sanderson. Bill, whenever you're ready, you will have 1 minute for an introduction.
Thanks, Anthony, and thanks everybody for being here. My wife Christine and I moved to Belleville in 1982 with our 2 young children, and we consider Belleville our home. When I decided to run for council in 2018, it was to give back to our community, and that's why I'm seeking re-election in October 24th. Ward 2 residents have a voice on council, and it's my privilege to serve as your councillor. A collaborative leadership style has enabled me to deliver on my commitments to you this past term. When we look back over the past 4 years and reflect on where we are now as a city, in some of the areas which I focused upon, such as finance, public transit, housing, long-term care, Habitat for Humanity, and the Humane Society. As we look forward, I've identified 10 priorities for the upcoming term, and I'll speak to them later. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Bill. Bill, before you go, we're going to have one question for you. So our question for Bill is, and Bill, you will have 1 minute. How do you plan to support population growth through city services?
So we have plans in place now. We just redone our official plan, and we show that we're going to have growth to the west of the city and to the north of the city. You've all heard of Black Bear Ridge, and that development alone is going to pay for the infrastructure and the services that are going to run out there. So I think we're well positioned. We've also got in Ward 1 to the east, we've got development happening there. We've got the Loyalist secondary plan. So I think when you consider that we also adjusted our development charges, we're well positioned to be able to meet the growth that's going to come our way.
Great, thanks very much, Bill. I'm now calling to the podium, Mr. Paul Carr. And Paul, whenever you're ready, you'll have 1 minute to give an introduction.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being here. It's great to see such a great crowd and engaging in municipal government. So I've been your councillor for the past 2 terms. It's been an honor and privilege to serve you on City Council. I'm a longtime Bay of Quinte resident. My wife Lisa and I have lived in Thurlow for 24 years. We have 2 adult children. My wife's an elementary school teacher, actually just down the road at Harmony. My oldest daughter is an RN at Trenton Hospital, and my youngest daughter is at Queens right now. I'm a 25-year veteran with the Correctional Service of Canada, supervised parole officers, and I'm also a crisis negotiator. As your city councillor for the past 2 terms, my guiding principles has been very simple. It's your community, it's your priorities. And I believe representation, whether rural or urban, is represented at City Council. And I'm here to listen to you, champion your ideas, and at the end of the day, I work for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul. I'll have one question here for you. So our question for Paul tonight is, Paul, how would you prioritize access to public transit in the region?
That's a good question, and I know transit is a very hot topic in Ward 2. We have some residents who are looking to see that continue. You have other residents who chose to live in certain areas that don't have transit and are okay with that. I think where we need to continue to do transit is look at the integration beyond the city and into the region. We have a partnership with Quinte West, which I think is important, and we need to look at a more regional aspect to moving people through our community. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Paul. So we'll have one more round from the councillor candidates. We'll go in order again, and we'll give them each 2 minutes to give us some priorities on their platform. So again, we'll call back to the stage Mrs. Catherine Brown. Catherine, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Anthony. So you'll have seen my material. There's more at the back, but really I'm looking at it from 3 perspectives. A livable and sustainable community that represents both suburban and rural needs, modernizing the services that are available here in our area, and to some degree Black Bear Ridge Village will actually contribute to some of that infrastructure. And as I also mentioned, I'm here about fair representation, making sure that the voices are heard from different perspectives because our needs are very, very different. I do live in a rural area. I want to point that out. I have a well and a septic system. I know the challenges. I have a driveway that goes on forever that I have to plow on my own not on my own. I have a husband who does that. And we have every John Deere piece of equipment known to man. So I think I would encourage you, if you could, to go and have a look at my website. The information that's on the card is like the Coles Notes version. And please, thank you if you knew what Coles Notes were. And I also do a blog there, and the blog is about things that I'm hearing as I and my team have been out door knocking, and issues that are coming up that people are contacting me about. So I took that feedback that I was getting, and I've tried to expand on it in terms of Catherine's perspective and what it is I think that I can do for Thurlow Ward. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Catherine. I will now call back up to the stage Michael Clark. Michael, you have 2 minutes.
course, whether it's municipal, whether it's provincial, we have a lot of issues that we can address here. Mainly homelessness, affordable housing. Roads has been a big one for a long time in Thurlow. But one thing that I think that I've talked to a lot of people in Thurlow that's big is the schools. Foxborough Public School, Harmony Public School are very much overpopulated. So I think it'd be something to figure out in regards to that on how we could get it done to where it'd be less stressful for parents, less stressful for teachers. With all the housing being built north of the city, obviously it's a big thing to where people move in to have kids. There's only really 2 schools they can go to in our area, so we do have to figure out something that we can do for that. Some classrooms have so many students in there, whether it's 20, whether it's 30, anything like that, which makes it a little more overwhelming for the parents, for the teachers, and also it makes, if a student needs one-on-one activity with the teacher, it makes it a little more difficult and a little more stressful. So I think we need to come up with that and try to figure out a better thing to do it. And I'll say we need councillors that truly want to represent Thurlow, and they're not afraid to stir the pot to get things done for us in Ward 1, for us and not just Ward 1. I live right on the border of Thurlow and Center Hastings, and we don't really get much done out there. This needs to change for all of Thurlow, not just certain points. If elected, I promise it will. If we truly want change, now's the time. And lastly, I hope everyone has a beautiful and safe Thanksgiving weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. And I'll come back to the stage, Bill Sampson. Bill, you have 2 minutes.
So thanks again for being here, and as part of my platform I have 10 key priorities for Ward 2 and the city, but due to time constraints I'm just going to touch briefly on 5 of those. So certainly roads and infrastructure, we need to continue our investment there. We've got Farnham Road, we've got Dundas Old Highway 2 to the east, and we've got the Black Bear Ridge Village as well. And we've also got to continue our commitment of investing in road rehab, which right now is $3 million a year in both wards. Secondly, we need a nurse practitioner clinic in Ward 2. We've been working on that for 3 years with the ministry, and it's getting closer, but we're not there yet. Social housing, that's a big one. And specifically on the spectrum of affordable housing, my focus is going to be on rent geared to income. We've got a partnership with Hastings County, but it hasn't delivered the results we've needed. So I've identified some strategies in terms of how we might do things differently. One is the old YMCA East property. When they move, that we should earmark that for affordable housing. Next is protective services. We need to do a fire master plan, and we need to do a community risk assessment. So that is something that we need for the safety and security of our residents. And the last one is regional collaboration. Doctor recruitment is a perfect example. We have a doctor recruitment program. Quinte West has a doctor recruitment program. Prince Edward County and Quinte Health. We need to sort of collaborate together and develop a program so that we can service the community, just like we do on the Bay of Quinte Marketing, and just like we do on Quinte Economic Development. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Paul. Last but not least, I'll call back up Paul Carr. Paul, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much, and certainly representing Thurlow for the past 2 terms, whether you live in a suburban area or a rural area, I think I've heard your priorities, and I've certainly championed them at City Hall. Past terms and past elections, I've heard about the lack of infrastructure, road maintenance. 2015, we started the comprehensive road maintenance program. It was referred to tonight. Equal funding between Ward 1 and Ward 2 shows the commitment that the city has, but also the advocating that I have as your representative to make sure that those dollars are allocated. Belleville is a very dynamic and vibrant community, and we're growing, but we're facing some quality of life issues. Homelessness is one in particular. I would like to see us have a mental health substance abuse summit. in the next term, bring all partners together. We have to break down the silos that we have in our community as it relates to mental health. We can see it in our community day in and day out. We need an integrated approach and a continuum of care. Speaking of continuum of care, we need more doctors and we need to be more aggressive. But we also have to advocate to the province. I've heard all of you say to me at the door that one of your priorities is primary health care. It is a provincial jurisdiction, but yet here we are talking about it today. We need to advocate and get the province to cut their own red tape when it comes to foreign-trained doctors and get them in and working and helping in our community. In addition to that, we want to continue with affordability. I champion the low-income seniors tax credit, and it's up to $800 now. I'd like to see that increase in order to make it more affordable for low-income seniors to stay in your house and offset some of those costs. We also have to look at affordable housing and that precarious housing that we have, that missing middle. We need to advocate to the province for better regulations for smaller homes so that entry-level buyers can get into the market. And we have to start looking at housing as a home, not as a commodity. And only until we change that philosophy, things will be different.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. So thank you to all four of the candidates. You all did a great job. If you get a round of applause from the audience, please. Great, you guys are good. All candidates come up. If they could come up on stage when they're ready, please. Okay, so the mayoral candidates will also have an opportunity to give a 1-minute introduction, and then I will also draw a random question that they will have 1 minute to answer. Following that, if they wish, they can also provide a 2-minute prepared statement in conclusion. So we will go alphabetically for this, starting with the following statement provided by Neil Ellis. Jill is going to read. Unfortunately, he's unable to attend this evening because he's at his daughter's wedding rehearsal dinner. So Jill, take it away from Neil.
So yes, I can't say, maybe I should make my voice deeper. But hello and good evening, fellow citizens of Belleville and residents of Ward 2. First, I want all of those who have put their names forward for various positions in public office. Your courage and dedication to this community is appreciated. I know of those who know me, my family is of top priority and importance in my life. I cannot be here this evening as our oldest daughter is being married on Friday. With our family gathering and the formal rehearsal is this evening. Such an event is planned well in advance. I have been knocking on many doors in Ward 1 and in Ward 2. I have been listening to your concerns and talking to you about what you want for this great community. I promise you that immediately after our daughter's wedding, I will continue to knock on doors and carefully listen to what you have to say. It is my hope that with your support, October 24th, I will be ready to, and with complete commitment, represent and work with you for the next 4 years as your mayor. I sincerely hope that you understand and agree that the marriage of one of our children is of the utmost importance to my wife, children, and our entire extended family. Please come out and vote in the election. It is my hope that you place your trust in me as your representative in City Hall. Neil Ellis.
Thank you, Neil. Okay, I will now call up Mitch Panchuk to the podium. So Mitch, you'll have 4 minutes altogether. 1 minute for an intro, then I'll draw a question for 1 minute, and then if you wish, you'll have 2 minutes for concluding statements. So your 1 minute for your intro starts now.
Well, thank you very much, Anthony, and thank you everyone for being here tonight. It has been a real privilege to serve as your mayor. Belleville has a lot of things happening, and it's a complex operation, but over the past 4 years, your council and I have shown you action which speaks louder than words, and the results are undeniable. We've led the region with residential and commercial growth while keeping our annual tax increases the lowest. You know, for the past 4 years, I've been proud to represent Thurlow Ward, and we've done a lot to improve our city. I am most proud of how we've grown our economy while keeping tax increases low in spite of inflation and in spite of the pandemic. Here in Thurlow, the 4-year average tax increase for Canopton Urban was 1.32%, Canopton Rural was 0.88%, and rural was only 0.56%. And we did this by working together. I'll have a little bit more to say today, but a little on. I do have my document at the back of the room. I asked you to take a look at it, and I look forward to answering the other questions.
Thank you, Mitch. So I will draw a random question now for you from the fishbowl. The question for Mitch tonight is, how do you address the housing crisis?
Yeah, this is an issue that's facing every community in Canada, in fact, all over the world. And and I think we have taken a number of steps this term. We recognize that rental housing in particular is something that's a real problem, and Council has gone full speed ahead to revise our official plan, change all the legislative requirements, so that now we can have a community improvement plan which allows us to provide financial incentives to builders and developers to build purpose-built rental housing. We already have 550 units that have come on stream, apartment units on stream this term, and there are 1,500 that we're waiting for builders to start on. So, at the end of this whole process, we've given out $1 million worth of financial incentives to help get rental housing. There's a lot more to the housing issue than simply rental accommodation. We have social housing and our shared service agreement with Hastings County. But the issue is we've got to get more housing built, and we're certainly going to keep doing that this next term.
Thank you very much, Mitch. So Mitch, you will now have 2 minutes, if you wish, to give any concluding statements or priorities on your platform.
Yeah, there's a number of issues that we have here in Thurlow, in the city, but particularly in Thurlow. And I, obviously we have ongoing issues of road maintenance, but also growth and the impacts of that, and services. People want more services. 401 widening is going to be a major project through Belleville, and we want to make sure that the 401 access across the 401 is more than just for vehicles. The Belleville East Arterial Road, which is the new exit that the provincial government has approved in its recent budget, is going to be really important to us because currently the intersection Highway 37 and Canada Road is just not appropriate for the truck traffic that is being used there. We can't expand the Northeast Industrial Park until we get the BEAR, and it's very important. The Belleville Agricultural Society, the relocation from the current fairgrounds property now to Black Diamond Road and Highway 37 is really important. And right now you're seeing all the work that's being done to service it so that we can sell off portions of that land, and that will allow us to pay for the entire transaction of moving it and allowing us to redevelop the downtown site. Black Bear Ridge, you heard about it tonight, and that is going to be something important because it is about orderly development and the extension of services north of Harmony Road, and in particular to Harmony Public School, which, as you know, is having real issues with sanitary, and this will allow them to come on side. Councillor Sanderson mentioned the nurse practitioner-led clinic, that we are working to have one in Thurlow. We don't have any primary care offerings north of the 401 now, and we need that. A nurse practitioner clinic would be 3,500 to 5,500 patients, and we're moving on that. And then lastly, I would just say that we need to recognize that the urban parts of Thurlow Ward and the rural part are different. They're different from a recreational need point of view, transportation, and emergency services. And I'm committed to working with all of those with you. Thank you again for coming this weekend. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Mitch. I'll now call up Kyle Thompson to the podium. Kyle, again, you'll have 4 minutes total, 1 minute for an intro, 1 minute for a random question, and then 2 minutes in conclusion. So you can take your 1 minute for intro as soon as you're ready. Thank you.
Thanks for everybody coming out. I was the late ad, of course, to this race. I felt like it was something I needed to do. I felt a number of individuals out there were looking for a voice that just wasn't there. I think that people look at me as maybe being something unconventional, but is this not times that are unconventional as well? So I feel like a number of those individuals looking for a voice are looking for things that are different. They're understanding where we are as a society as a whole, not just a community. And we look at all the different things that are surrounding us right now. I feel we talk about a lot of the municipal issues that are going on, but we fail to talk about the huge issues of inflation, taxation, and all the other increases that we have that are going to make a significant difference to us, or make our lives a little bit more difficult. Why are we not, as a community, finding ways to mitigate these problems? Because they are the issues that are going to put our businesses out of business and make things harder for our families.
Great, thank you, Kyle. I will draw a random question now for you here. You will have 1 minute, and the question for Kyle is, how do you plan to support population growth through our city services?
I think at this time we may be catch up. We're catching up to what is going on, and to be able to do that, obviously, I think there's a lot of things that have been put in place or are in the works at this point. So I think we're good. But, obviously we've got to get those programs moving. As far as the continued growth, I want to be realistic here. I see great things happening for us, but I see it needed that we need to do this as a community. We need to work together as a community, and we need to do different things to achieve this. But the growth, we've all seen it. Sales are going down in houses considerably in the area. And people will still continue to come to the area because we have things that are in place. However, that process of massive growth is likely not something we're going to see, and it's not a bad thing.
Great, thanks so much, Kyle. So now, Kyle, you'll have 2 minutes to touch on any topics of your choosing.
Yeah, so, there's a few things that I feel are really important. Like I said, working as a community, finding collaborative ways to improve our lives where using, the collaboration of the community is a big thing for me. I believe there's several programs that exist out there where we can do things that we can actually, not for the municipality, not for our government, but for you and your families, where we can actually make things a lot easier for you going forwards and actually provide resources and types of programs where we can actually create projects that enable you to increase your wealth, also increase the standard of living, and with that, no cost for the taxpayer.
You have another minute.
I have another minute. Okay. The other issue, I believe, or the two issues I believe are pretty significant, are the homeless issues and the homeless and the healthcare issue. We've tried all sorts of programs and different things, and it seems like we're doing the same thing over and over again to try to get doctors and nurses to come to our area. And unfortunately, there's a lot of issues that happen. You're all aware of it right now, and there's a lot of reasons why these nurses and doctors are leaving our hospitals. I don't think the public really truly knows why this is happening. I don't think the public truly knows what they want to be able to come back into the hospitals and also into the services. I do have a Zoom meeting with one of the larger police organizations and service organizations, along with the nursing organizations that will be on my website shortly. And there's thousands of them that are in this organization, and they are looking for mayors and communities and councils that will support them and step in between and take action when our governments want to oppose them.
Great, thank you, Kyle. Thank you very much. Thank you to all three of our mayoral candidates. Unfortunately, Neil couldn't be here tonight, but thank you to Mitch and thank you to Kyle. It's very good. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. So that wraps up part 2 of the evening. On to part 3. So we've also invited the trustee candidates to present this evening. We will go alphabetically for this as well. The rules and format of this will be they get a total of 3 minutes. The idea was to give them 1 minute for an introduction and then 2 minutes to talk about their platform. But you'll be timed for the 3 minutes, so you can use the 3 minutes as you wish. So I will call up in alphabetical order. First we have Colin Duffy. So Colin, you'll have 3 minutes, beginning whenever you wish.
Thank you. My name is Colin Duffy. I'm running for school board trustee. I'm 35 years old. I'm a refugee from Toronto housing crisis. I'm so sorry. You have my sincerest apologies. Back in 2017, I had no idea what it would do. But for a living, I'm a cleaner. I scrub toilets. Some people go their entire career wondering whether they ever really made a difference, and I do not have that problem at all. I might be the happiest person in the building because by working harder, I can make life better for myself, my coworkers, and the people of my community. It makes it really easy. Now, for the platform, kids mock us as adults because we teach them that mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell, but we don't teach them how a tax return works, how credit cards work, how their credit score is calculated, how to get a small business loan. These are things that, there are resources available, and it would be very easy to fit this into a curriculum, but we don't do it. Something like a tax return. It's multiplication, addition, and subtraction. We could give a tax return to a child and say, well, here's a sample individual, how much would they owe in taxes? It might take them a while, but they could do it and they would have at least seen the process. With something like a credit card, this is some multiplication, so you could say, Sally owes $1,500 on the credit card, here are the terms of the credit card. In 6 months, if she was only making minimum payments, what would she owe? And this might open some eyes. Hopefully it will. And no student would go away from that math class wondering whether they would ever use these skills. It's obvious. And when it comes to things like these life skills, there's a program in Belleville called Elevate Plus, which takes people who are down on their luck, and often people on social assistance, and it gives them the life skills that they need to try to get one of the factory jobs in the region. Some of the skills they're talking about are basic stuff, like show up every time, on time, no excuses. Because in a factory, if someone's not in their place on the line can't start. Stuff like that. And if someone can show up on time and has the skills, they can get a good paying job. Now, Elevate Plus is one of those programs that teaches people life skills that could fit into a curriculum. So I want to take people who've identified these skills gaps in the community, find out what they're teaching, and teach them to kids, so that we as adults can do our duty to children. Because there are homeless people on the streets, and I have to wonder, if we had done our duty as adults to them, how many of them wouldn't be on the streets? How many of them would have avoided the financial disasters that put them there? Thank you.
Great, thank you, Paul. I will now call up Christine Harrington. Welcome, Christine. So again, you will have 3 minutes. Whenever you're ready, please begin.
Hi, my name is Christine Harrington. I've lived in the Belleville area for the last 15 years. I have one child that attends school in the district. My biggest concern right now is mental health. We need to make our mental health resources available to all of our kids in our schools. They need to know that they're not alone when they're feeling depressed, when they're feeling anxious, especially our kids at the younger levels, because they're basically being ignored. And some of our kids started school during COVID. They were told, you need to self-isolate, you can't play with your friends, and now we turned around and said, we don't need to do that anymore. It's okay to be kids, and they don't know how to do that. And we need to, as adults, assist them with getting this done. Another thing that I just realized is not working the way it should be 100% is the system that actually reaches out to us from the school board if there's an issue. My daughter has had 3 lock-in secures at her school in less than 6 months. I only received a notification to the school once. I only found out about this one because her teacher actually sent us a message today saying that there was one at the school. Otherwise, I would have been freaking out that she was almost an hour late coming home from school. So we need to maybe do something like a test system. Reach out and say, hey, this is a test, we're just testing it to make sure it works. Maybe send something home with the kids, and the parents can then maybe text a number and say, yes, I received the notification, no, I didn't. I myself would be perfectly happy to sit there and tabulate all of the ones that didn't work so that we can then figure out where the problem is and get it addressed. I've obviously never been a school board trustee before. I'm not a politician. I'm doing this because I am concerned about our kids and I want to see them get the best possible education they can. And that's really all I have to say.
Great, thanks very much, Christine. I will now call to the stage Evan Little. Welcome, Evan. So again, you'll have 3 minutes. Whenever you're ready, take it away.
Okay. I am Evan Little. My wife and I are recent residents of Belleville. We moved here in March 2020, so really we basically only lived here for 1 year because of 2 years of COVID. My wife is a physician. She was recruited to come here and work as a pediatrician. We have 2 daughters, and one of them is in the public school system. I myself, I'm in my 21st year of service with the Canadian Armed Forces. I work for the health services, and I currently am a national training supervisor. So my job entails supervising funds, curriculum, and management of careers for all health services reserve personnel across the country. Going on to my thoughts for Belleville. I am running as a trustee because both of my brothers are teachers. They really pushed me to run as a trustee. In their particular school districts, they are not happy with their trustees. They find that their trustees are running because they want a career in politics, not because they look after kids. And they want me to run because I have all that management and leadership experience. What I have seen first and foremost as a problem within our school system is the fact that they cut EA funding. Rates of violent incidents in the schools are up more than 4 times in the past 2 years. And that's a direct correlation to the cuts they have provided for EAs. And we need those EAs in school to keep our kids safe, to keep the teachers safe, and so that we can provide a proper learning environment. I know within the budget, there must be money somewhere to keep those staff employed, to make sure that our schools function properly. I as well believe that the school district has published a very comprehensive strategic plan. It really covers all the things that are important for all our kids, but they're not actioning it. They're not following through on all those bullet lines that they have on their plan. If you put me on board as a school trustee, I will be there helping to make sure that the Director of Education and all those superintendents follow through on their commitments to our children, follow through on the commitments to all of our citizens of Belleville, and to make sure that they deliver good education for all of our students.
Thanks very much, Robert. I'll now call up Matthew Pinchuk. Is Matthew here? Oh, he's over here. Come on up, Matthew. Okay. So again, Matthew, you will have 3 minutes. Whenever you're ready, take it away.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. I appreciate everyone that has taken their time to come out today. I'm going to pace a little bit because I can't stand still when I talk. So, I am a local business person. I've lived in Belleville for 22 years now. Moved here following university and college in Peterborough. My wife's hometown is Belleville. We live just down the road in Thurlow. We have 2 children that are currently, one that is currently finished in the public system, just graduated attending Loyalist College. The other currently in the Bayside Secondary French Immersion Program. I have watched, and I have sat back and I have watched what's happened in schools over the time that we have been here. I've seen it from a perspective of a therapeutic parent therapist working for a local agency, as well as witnessed it myself with my own children. And I think it's time we put our children first. That is what is key in this situation, and that's what I'm running on. I'm running on the concept that I want to make sure that student development and the student-first perspective is put in place. When I went to high school, I had great teachers. I had teachers who had an influence on my life and continue to have an influence on my life, and probably why I'm standing up here right now. I want that to happen for all our students. I want our students to feel the passion for education and be able to go out in the community and create a life for themselves and make changes for themselves. And I think really what we've shied away from is looking for a success path. Not necessarily a career path, but a success path. Giving these individuals the ability to take that information that they are learning in school and apply it. But you can't just put them on a path and say, hey, here you go, have fun, take care. Those teachers need to be there to support. And if without that support, those children will not succeed. And I'm not talking just support of, hey, good job, Timmy, great things you're doing today in school. It's about modifying programs. It's about finding different ways that we can change the programs that we are going to deliver to our children so that they can learn better. And we all know that, we always say the wheel is round, why change the wheel? The wheel's got a lot of bumps in it right now. We need to make those changes. And that's what I stand for. And that's why I want to be your school board trustee. That is why I'm here in front of you right now. I am a loud voice. I'm a very caring and compassionate voice. And I want to make sure that our students have the successes. I work in the staffing industry right now, and as we all know, there are limitations with people that we are trying to find to work for us. There are short-term resolutions, yes. The long-term resolutions come from our education. If we do not teach our children and help them move along that path to success, we are doing a failure to them. And that's my goal, is to make sure that I'm going to be able to help that. I realize change doesn't happen quickly. As such, my commitment, not only should I be elected, would be to run for this term, as well as potentially 1 or 2 more terms. Because I don't let change just go about by itself. I'm going to follow it through. I'm going to make sure that change is happening and move forward with it.
Great. Thank you, Matthew. Next I'll call up Amanda Robertson. Welcome, Amanda. So Amanda, you'll have 3 minutes. Take it away whenever you're ready.
Hi everybody, and thank you for being here tonight. My name is Amanda Robertson, and I'm running for Public School Board Trustee because through my work as chair of our school council over the last 5 years, and my involvement with the board's Parent Involvement Committee, it's become evident that we must strengthen and build resilience into our public education system. And we need individuals who understand how to identify and address barriers using smart policy and collaborative partnerships. I'm a mom of 3 public school students, with my youngest just starting his school journey in JK. My background is in occupational therapy, a profession that helps people engage in activities they want and need to do by identifying barriers and either removing them or problem-solving solutions to overcome them. Enabling participation happens on individual, group, and systems and policies level. Through my training, work in communications, and volunteerism, I've seen how good policy can lead to increased accessibility and more successful programming. Alternatively, I've seen how poorly written policy can not only fail to address the issues, but actually put up barriers. I've sat on the John Howard Society's Board of Directors for 6 years and have been treasurer of the board for the last 1.5 years. In my time with the John Howard, we've expanded youth programming to include Belleville Youth Centre, and through our Quantum program, we've connected youth who are marginalized with their education and a future. During this time, I've witnessed the importance of school boards collaborating with community partners like John Howard to deliver services in a way that supports students with wraparound care to ensure they're able to engage with their learning. Engaging or re-engaging students is what our education system is tasked with as we emerge from 2 years of pandemic learning disruption. More and more students require already stretched learning supports and resources. We need to make sure that policy is updated to allow for these supports to be available to all students who need them. In 2022, we can collect data on almost any policy issue, and the board, ministry, and public interest groups work hard to do just that. However, all the information in the world is meaningless if we don't interpret it from an informed perspective and use it to guide smart policy. As a trustee and the public's representative at the table, I will keep open and active communication lines with all stakeholders to ensure all voices are represented in decision making and to truly understand the issues needing to be addressed in our schools. I will also connect with and use the experience of other school boards to determine what has worked for them. Many of our issues are not unique, and we can save time and resources by not always reinventing the wheel. So a vote for me means electing a trustee that promotes and supports the principles of public education, approaches decision-making from an evidence-based and collaborative perspective, and advocates for increased funding of public education. You'll elect a trustee who understands barriers and accessibility and who keeps quality education and student success and well-being as my priorities. As we emerge out of the pandemic and into labor negotiations, the education climate is full of stress and uncertainty. As a trustee, I'll create open and transparent dialogue with all stakeholders to ensure all voices are heard and accounted for while navigating the forthcoming challenges. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you very much. I'll now call up Emma Travis. Welcome, Emma. So, Emma, you will have 3 minutes whenever you're ready.
Okay, see if I can stay on track. Good evening, everybody. My name is Emma Travis. I am running for Public School Board Trustee. I'm doing this so my kids and all of our kids have the same opportunities that I had and more. Our kids deserve better than what we put them through the last few years, and that's a large inspiration for why I decided to run. So a little bit about me. I'm a mother to 4 amazing children that actually range between 7 to 22, all of which have taught me a lot. I'm a wife to a long-haul trucker, which has its own challenges. Some of which are fun. I don't have to cook dinner for a husband all week long. It's awesome. I'm a small business owner, one of the lucky ones to actually survive the COVID lockdowns, and I have been a member of this community for more than 25 years. I attended Foxborough Public School. For a few years before that, we did Belleville Christian School. I eventually did Centennial Secondary School, graduating with the Arts Plus program. I really don't have enough time in 3 minutes to tell you the opportunities that I got from this community and from the school board, particularly the public school board, and what they allowed me to do. I could talk about it for a long time. After that, I went on to University of Ontario. I got my bachelor's of health sciences because I was going to be a doctor. But That did not happen. And then I came back to Belleville. I got certified to teach first aid, and I opened up my business, which we still have today, Be Prepared. As a small business owner, I've learned a lot in the last 10 years. Accounting, communications, human relations, more communications. You wear all the hats when you're a sole proprietor. A few years ago, I took the steps and I became certified to instruct psychological first aid. I learned a lot about managing stress, trauma, grief, how to take care of my own mental health, and how to take care of others in crisis as well. And also we talk a lot about compassion fatigue and burnout, which a lot of our teachers are struggling with. These are all lessons that we need to know, our children need to learn, and all of our educators need to know as well. I'm running out of time. The job of the school trustee is to bring the concerns of the community, you guys, to the board. Any person that you vote for, that's someone you're giving your trust to. They have to work as a team. 2 of us are going to be working together. And honestly, you have a lot of good choices this year. I don't know how you're going to decide. I'm sorry. My focus is easy. We need more, not less, programs of support, hands-on learning, integrative education like the adventure class that is currently on the chopping block right now. Communication in place is not good enough, and this particular week and last week with 2 hold and secures with the schools in the East End was a huge indicator for that one, because a lot of us showed up at the schools and we had no idea what was going on. I'm almost done. We need to work better with the apprenticeship programs, no more cuts to our kids, better support for mental health. We need to improve the communication that they've got. It takes a village to raise our kids. Our schools are those village, and I don't.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you very much. So before we move into our separate board trustees, we didn't miss any public board trustees. Hello? Yep. So we have at least 2 or 4 separate school board trustees here. My mic's cutting out a bit, but I do not believe Tom Dahl is here. Is he? No? Okay. Is John Francis Dugan here? Okay. So we will move into Anthea Morell. She is here. Perfect. Welcome. So Anthea, you will have 3 minutes. You can begin whenever you're ready.
Many years ago, I moved to Belleville as a new graduate. And I got my first job at Belleville General Hospital in the old Cavell building. And that place is now in the past. And then I joined the Belleville Squash Club and met my husband, Dan, and that club has closed. Dan and I married, we had 2 children, and we became members of the Harbor Club so that our children could take swimming lessons, and that building is no longer there. So buildings and business may come and go in Belleville, but interestingly, our church and the faith still stand. We married at St. Michael, the Archangel Catholic Church 32 years ago. Our children attended St. Michael, and Nicholson graduated 10 years ago. We've also been members at St. Joseph Catholic Church. For 33 years, I've worked closely with children, their parents, their families, in hospitals, in public schools, in private schools, Christian schools, at Quindy Mohawk School, and in my own private practice. But when I arrived at the Algonquin and Lakeshore Catholic District School Board, I felt for the first time that I could marry the work that I loved with the faith that I love. I retired last year, and I was quite enjoying my retirement, but then I was told there was a need for new trustees, for change at the trustee level. So I discerned that I think I do have a call to serve as trustee, to use my time and my talents in a way that gives back more than I have received, and I've received a lot. If you elect me, I will listen. I know a small piece of Belleville and a small piece of the board, but I need to see the big picture of both. Secondly, I believe that all students should read at their full potential, even those diagnosed with reading disabilities. I'm a speech-language pathologist by training, by the way. And it is the basis of all school success, and it's also the basis of what they can offer as adults. to our country. And third, I will help to infuse more Catholic values into student life. Every student should become aware of the gift of faith and how to know and love the person of Jesus Christ. And as your trustee, I would be committed to prepare students to be the best they can be in their faith, their skills, and in service to others. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, and last but not least, I will call up Osborne Nerona. Welcome, Osborne. So Osborne, you will have 3 minutes whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Anthony. First of all, I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for organizing this event. And thank you for all of you for participating and coming. And I'd like to congratulate all the candidates for putting themselves forward for service. As Anthony mentioned, my name is Osborne Nerona. I grew up in Toronto. I was raised in a devout Catholic family. And I went to Catholic school right from elementary school till I graduated high school. I went to University of Toronto, where I graduated medical school over 30 years ago. And I moved to Belleville in the 1990s, and I'm a member at St. Michael the Archangel Church. Why am I running? The first third of my life, I basically studied to become a physician. The next third of my life, I served and I had the privilege of helping patients with their healthcare needs. And during this final third of my life, I'd like to give back to the community and help our children and our children's children have a better society that we inherited from our parents. I have a 5-point platform. I want to advocate for student success, empower parents, educate, not indoctrinate, emphasize Catholic values, and accountability, trust, and transparency. In terms of advocating for student success, I believe children are our greatest treasure. Parents are the first educators, and we start raising them right from the day they're born. We entrust them to the school system as secondary educators, and we need kids to succeed academically, but we need them also to succeed socially, psychologically, spiritually. There's many aspects of humanity. Not everyone's going to go on to university and be a rocket scientist, and that's great, but we need to prepare everyone for ultimate success in whatever field they're going to be, and they need to have life skills and job skills that will suit them for their future careers. Empowering parents. Parents need to have a voice in every decision the school board makes, and they should never be left out, and we need to make sure parents are not withheld any information about their kids in the school system. Education, not indoctrination. Politics should be left out of the classroom, and regardless of any political bias from the teacher, left, right, center, they should leave that at the door and teach kids reading, writing, arithmetic, and the rest of the studies. This classroom is no place for political indoctrination, in my opinion. In the Catholic system, we need to emphasize Catholic values. That's why it is a separate school board, and our religious freedoms are enshrined in the Canadian Constitution and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And then lastly, accountability, trust, and transparency. The school board system is run by tax dollars, and I need to be accountable to all of you who are hardworking tax ratepayers. Finally, I'd like to summarize with a quote. Catholic education, above all, is a matter of forming Christ and helping to form Christ in the lives of others. Thank you. That was John Paul II. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pastor. Great, well thank you to all our trustee candidates. If we can give one last round of applause for all of them. Did a great job. So that concludes the formal part of the evening. I will now call on Joe Raycroft, our CEO for the Chamber of Commerce, to say some final words.
So, and again, I'll just echo, thanks all for coming, thanks to our candidates for coming. I hope you enjoyed hearing from the trustee candidates. They don't usually get an opportunity, so I appreciate Ward 2 or our Thurlow residents for allowing them to participate in this event. Thanks to you for coming, and thanks for your questions tonight. I hope that you were able to get some kind of information and make a choice. And thank you to Anthony, and thank you to Lisa. Jared, you all clapped so well. So last but not least, we got this done in about an hour, so you have lots of time for the rest of your evening. And I just wanted to mention, I don't know if everybody's fully aware about the whole online voting thing that's happening this time. So there are no paper ballots. I got my letter yesterday, so I just thought I would share that you should have gotten this letter. If you aren't quite sure how to do the online voting thing, you can come back here on Tuesday, October 18th, Wednesday, October 19th, and Friday. The dates are on the back, so there's an electronic voting assistant. So please read this letter carefully so you understand how you can vote, because that is the most important thing. Have a great night. Have a great Thanksgiving. Thank you for joining us. Good evening.